Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to our Italian Let's Play of Rule the Waves 2. We've just got our fleet set up. We have some 6 battleships. I think we have 7 heavy cruisers, 10 light cruisers, and 20 destroyers. We also have a battleship, a light cruiser, and 7 destroyers under construction, and that's the Italian Navy at the start of the game. The game starts in January of 1900 and goes to 1955. Now, some other important information that you'll see on your screen here in front of you. First off, the game has a tensions meter up here in the top right. This basically determines when countries go to war. So every country that is in the game, every AI country that is in the game playing against us is included up here. You have the British flag here, you have the French flag here, the Austro-Hungarian Empire is next, followed by Russia, Germany, and the United States. Each one of these countries has a bar, which represents its current tension level between our country, Italy, and the country that is below the bar. So right now, Italy has the highest tension level with Great Britain at level 4, and everybody else is at level 3, with the exception of the United States that's at level 2. If a country's tension level drops to, I think it's 1 or maybe it's 0, there's a possibility that you would sign an alliance with them. Alliances are largely irrelevant, although sometimes they do come into play during warfare. Sometimes wars can include engagements that are off-screen that you don't see between your ally and the enemy power, but generally they don't do a whole lot. Now, as I've said, this number is 4, the rest are 3. The tensions are really low. I think if you get to 13, that's where war is declared. Essentially, the higher this gets, the closer you get to war. This will change to yellow, and then it'll change to orange, and then when you're at war, it'll turn to red. Different events or actions pop up throughout the game. You are the fleet admiral in charge of the Navy, so you don't directly determine national policy, but you can give influence and you can decide a lot of things. You know, you can be a bombastic, Tirpitz type figure or not, and that can directly influence tensions and lead to war. Tensions can also go down, but essentially once tensions get up to this line and cross it, you're at war. Additionally, as tensions go up, your naval budget will go up. So as war becomes more likely, your government will typically assign more resources to you so that you can fight a potential war or prepare for a potential war. So the whole, walk softly and carry a big stick. Sorry, by the way, if I yawned there a little bit. It's a little bit late my time, so... That's the tension information. You also get messages every turn that you can kind of scroll through that tell you information about different countries when they're laying down ships or whatever. You get an intel report. We have no intel report at this time, but between turns you get intel reports about, so-and-so laid down a new ship, so-and-so has a new ship design, that kind of stuff. You also have an almanac that'll tell you the different strength of the different navies throughout the world. So this is kind of like a Warships of the World type deal, a Jane's Compendium of the navies of the world. And currently you can see Italy has the smallest naval budget of anybody on this game except Austria-Hungary, who is smaller. The weird thing is, and maybe this is an AI thing, when I build my own fleet as opposed to start with a default fleet, the enemy fleets start super weak. Like, we have 6 battleships in service. Great Britain has 2. France has 2. Austria-Hungary has 0. Russia 1. Germany 1. The USA 0. Now, they're all building some, and they'll certainly lay more down as time goes on, but that's just really weird to me that each one of these countries has basically a pittance of a fleet for the battleships. That being said, they all have a lot of heavy cruisers. So we only have 7 heavy cruisers, but Britain has 12, France has 15, Austria-Hungary has 7, Russia has 9, Germany has 14, the United States has 13. Light cruisers, similarly. Everybody seems to have a fully fleshed out fleet in every regard, with the exception of the battleships. So I don't know why, but that does give us an initial early edge in the event that any war occurs. Naval aircraft and airships are included down here, but right now nobody has that because it's only 1900. Now, in addition to these 3 buttons, there's also an intel section here where you can choose to invest in intelligence in different countries. So we can choose to invest at a high level of intelligence and spying in Great Britain, or a low level, or none. As you increase your intelligence investment, the likelihood that one of your spies in a given country will be detected increases, and spy detection is one of the ways that tensions can increase, depending on how you handle that. Right now, we currently, I'll come back to intelligence in a moment. So some other key things on the screen. Obviously, we've got our fleet makeup here in front of us. We've got a map that lets us kind of scroll around and view the different sea zones. Each one of these boxes represents a sea zone where you can deploy ships to, and the flags represent which countries hold different bases. So as you can see, Italy has a base at Eritrea, if that's how you pronounce it, on the sort of the eastern tip of Africa. France has a base here. Great Britain has bases all over the country, and there's a few neutral bases in Angola and Mozambique, which actually historically were Portuguese colonies, but sort of third power colonies don't really count in this game, so they allow you to take them over as a great power. So there can be different events where you can choose to send a naval force to different neutral nations like Greece or Albania, and you can take those over for yourself as a colony. Or AI powers can do the same thing, and that's one way you can expand. Another way you can expand is when you fight a war, often there's a reparations period at the end of the war, and you can choose to, claim one of the colonies. I also believe that when you go to war, there is a possibility that you can invade different bases and you can take those, but I don't know how that affects the post-war phase. Now, this map also gives you sort of a check mark of where your fleet can be deployed. So right now our fleet is basically all deployed to the Mediterranean, but theoretically, if we had a large empire, we might be required to deploy forces elsewhere, and this map would give us like a little red X if we had an area that we didn't have enough ships deployed to, or a green check mark if we do. So as Italy, because we have a small empire, we don't really need to worry about that. Our few colonies and roads in Libya, both are on the Mediterranean coast, so our home fleet can cover that. I do know that Libya and Rhodes were not historically Italian at this part of the war either, but that's just sort of a sacrifice. Did I say war? These colonies were not part of Italy at this time. There was a war with the Ottoman Empire that changed that, but not yet. That being said, the game gives them to you at the start. So Italy, you can see the only real possessions are in the Mediterranean and then one here in the Indian Ocean. Nothing else throughout the map, which makes playing Italy a little bit less activity-filled, but it also means we don't really have to deploy any warships outside the Mediterranean, which is one of the reasons we built those short-ranged battleships. In addition to that, you have the ships in service screen here, ships under construction. There's a submarine breakout here, but we don't have submarine tech yet. Coastal fortifications, you can build coastal fortifications in different sea zones or whatever of different sizes. So you've got 6-inch coastal forts, 4-inch coastal forts. A list of any ships that you might sink or lose. Sorry, these I believe are ships that you lose in war. An overview of the different areas, so you can see the Mediterranean. We have a base capacity of 999. We have a strength of 156, 198,000 tons. We can station up to 30 strength in the Indian Ocean out of Eritrea, but the rest are kind of, I don't know what these 10s represent other than the fact that maybe you could theoretically send something there, but you have no real bases there. So you can't send anything strong there. And then you've got a base overview here that shows you all the different bases, the Italian East Coast, the Mediterranean, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so that kind of gives you an overview of the screen up here on the top. On the bottom, there's some key information as well. So prestige is sort of your score, how you win. I don't know if there's a win, but essentially the higher your prestige, the more well you'll be regarded when you retire. So when the game ends, you might get if you have a lot of prestige, the Italian Navy might name an aircraft carrier after you. If you have very little prestige, they might name a destroyer after you. Or if your prestige falls too low, they might fire you. Prestige is your score. You can see up here there's the Italian flag, which represents the country we're playing, and then the date, obviously. Tonnage on foreign stations, it'll alert you if you don't have enough. That's not really relevant to us. Dock size means the total tonnage of a ship you can build, the maximum size of a ship you can build. Right now, Italy's at 15,000. We probably want to increase that so we can start building larger battleships. Unrest level represents the unrest in your country. Italy actually starts at 2. Most countries start at 1, but Italy does have some internal political unrest, so they start at 2. As that number goes up, the likelihood of the government falling increases, and if the government falls during a war, for example, basically you lose the war with an unconditional surrender or what have you. It also would probably reset your naval budget to be very low. Build requirements is applicable in the event that a president says, hey, I want you to build me 10 battleships or something like that. Sometimes you get decrees down from the government to build a certain number of ships or a certain type of class of ships. And then treaty time and then peace treaty limit are sort of representative of sometimes you get random events like the Washington Naval Treaty. You don't specifically get the Washington Naval Treaty. I just mean that there are times that events will pop up, and depending on your response, it may lead to an arms treaty, which could lead to forced demobilization of certain ships, scrapping of certain ships, or removing of certain ships under construction, or limiting the types of ships that you construct. Invasion range means how far away you can invade from a base of yours, although I don't really know much more than that. 250 miles is pretty small. Yearly budget, that's how much your budget is every year. I think that's in thousands. I don't think that's totally right, so I think that's in thousands. I think all these numbers are in thousands. So you've got 183,400 naval budget per year. That breaks out to 15,283 per month. Of that 15,283, 3,554 is tied up on maintenance of our ships. So you can see here this list of ships of ours. If we scroll to the right, we'll see a maintenance cost for each ship. So these battleships cost $223 per month. These heavy cruisers cost $174 per month. These light cruisers cost $75 per month. The destroyers $10, etc. Further down, you've got construction, which is $3,400 per month. That represents the ships that we're building over here. And as you scroll to the right on these, if you scroll to the left on these ships, there is a cost somewhere here. Oh yeah, construction cost / per month. So you can see the battleships costing $1,500 per month, the light cruisers $600. And then you've got a month left of the construction. So the battleship has a year left. Everybody else is less than that in terms of number of months. In addition to that, there's naval aircraft costs. We have nothing, so that doesn't matter. Research cost, that's a little bit low. We're going to increase that, but that's currently at $1,223. Enhanced training, you can give your crews better training so they're more accurate with guns, better with torpedoes, etc. Intelligence, that's up here. So like if we want to try and steal British technology or designs, we can increase our intel effort. But as we increase that, you can see the intelligence budget has gone from 0 to 420. So we could actually raise it. Every notch you raise the budget, it goes up 70 per month. I think that's 70,000 per month. If we put high intelligence on everybody, that's going to cut into our budget pretty considerably, 1,260. But I do think having a really good level of intelligence might help us speed our technological development. In addition to that, it gives you a net total of $942 per month. So our budget of $15,283, our net total of $94,42, then means we've got a surplus of $5,841 or $5,841. We currently have $3.2 million or $3,287 in the bank. Next turn, if we do nothing, we would have $9,000 in the bank. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my dock sizes because I need docks larger than 15,000 tons. I need to be able to build larger than the Italia class battleship. There's no point in building another battleship until I can build a bigger one. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend $3,200 of our $3,287. What this really is going to be is $3.2 million. And we're going to spend that to increase our dock sizes. This will increase our dock sizes by 1,000 tons, and it will take 1 year. So at the end of 1 year, it'll be at 16,000 tons. Now, that being said, the game also sometimes has random events where the shipbuilding size may increase. That's because you can have your private economy. If your private economy is booming along and your private shipbuilding is building a lot of commercial steamers and stuff, if they're building large commercial steamers like the Titanic, this might increase your dock size on its own without you spending money. And that can definitely help as well, but that's random outside your control. The design ship button obviously lets you design ships, which we did last episode. The build ship button, which we used last episode, allows you to build ships. The build sub button allows you to build subs, but we don't have subs to build yet. We could build coastal batteries, but I don't see the need to do that at this time. Air groups don't matter right now. Doctrine does allow you to set different things like what type of ammunition makeup do you want? Do you want your 7 to 10 inch guns to carry AP in short range engagements, medium or long? Like how do you want to outfit those guns? AP at medium and short range, HE at long range, or how do you want that all broken out? And it can also allow you to choose that between a target being capital ships, armored cruisers, or light cruisers. It also gives you an option to choose the ammo loadout on the ship down here based on gun size. And then you have a few other options to do float plate and search priority or elite pilots, which are not relevant at this time. It also allows you to set advanced gunnery, night fighting, and torpedo warfare for your crew. We are going to set advanced gunnery, which is going to cost us $841 per, what is that, per month in maintenance costs. So that's going to kick into our budget even more. If we apply that, you can see it's going to take a year before these take effect. But once that year passes, our crews are going to be much better at gunnery than they currently are. It'll be a 30% increase in their maintenance cost permanently, which equates to $841. So you can see here that hasn't actually kicked in yet, but I assume it'll kick in next month. We'll take a look. Additionally, there's a research element here where you can research new technologies. This is absolutely vital to getting your country to a good start and being able to maintain a lead. We're going to set our research budget to the maximum, which is 12% of our total naval budget. So right now our research at 8% is accounting for 1,223 per turn. If we set it to 12% and hit OK, you can see here it's going to drop 1.5 million of our budget away. You can see 600,000. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it included the increased training too. So by applying that doctrinal change, it's going to take 12 months. We're going to get 841 more in enhanced training and about 600 more in research. That cuts our budget down to about 4.3 million surplus per turn right now. So you can see we're researching at 12%, which is the maximum, but even within that, we can choose different priorities. So if we double click on the naval guns, we can see the current naval guns that we have for our ship designs. We go up to 12-inch guns, 2 to 12, every inch included, but the only guns we have that don't suck are 8-inch, 4-inch, and 2-inch guns. The 12 and the 11 and the 10 and the 9-inch guns all are -1 quality, which means they have much worse armor-piercing capabilities. Actually, I believe the 9-inch gun can penetrate less armor than the 8-inch gun at the -1 to 0 quality level. We can actually double-click on it and see the breakout here. So an 8-inch gun of quality 0 penetrates up to 4.4 inches of armor at 5,000 yards. If we click on the 9-inch gun, 5,000 yards, it's 4.2. So it's almost kind of like, what's the point of having a 12-inch gun if it can only, a 9-inch gun on a cruiser if the 8-inch gun is actually better? 9,400 is the max range on that. 10,000 is the max range on this. So yeah, the 8-inch gun is in every way currently better. But what this tells me is most of our guns are not very good. We do have one exception. The 3-inch guns are quality 1, which are actually very good. There's not, the interesting thing is a quality 1 gun is not better than an inch larger quality 0 gun, but a quality 0 gun is better than a 1 inch larger -1 gun, at least in some cases by this look of it. Maybe not in penetration on the smaller calibers, I guess, but at least in the bigger calibers that is true. So with that being said, I am going to set gun quality or gun research to high priority. I'm also going to set ship design to high priority because we have an advantage there, and I want to milk the advantage. And I think the rest we're going to just kind of keep it medium. I'm not going to pick anything else out as like, let's really focus in on this one specific thing. Really, it's going to be ship design and naval guns, and the rest we'll keep it medium. Otherwise, we'll just end up having high everything. There's nothing I really want low priority, so we'll just kind of leave that as is. Okay, so that's the research element. There's also a new fleet exercise option where you can set different ships to participate in a fleet exercise as either friendly or enemy forces. I don't really understand how this works. You can set weather, short range, long range, light range, light settings, day or night. Like, this is kind of a cool little feature. I think that allows you to simulate fighting your fleet, and presumably it increases your crew quality over time. But I don't quite understand it other than it's kind of some kind of wargaming that's going on in your fleet, which is cool, but I don't know how it plays into how I actually want to play the game. Speaking of crew quality, if we scroll to the right here, we can see all of our ships currently have fair crews. As that advanced training completes, that should increase their quality to good. There is also a poor quality crew as well. With that being said, aircraft types are not relevant right now. Mobilization would change your fleet out of being mothballed and into being in active status. You can actually choose to mothball ships in order to save money. So, for example, the Benedito Brin battleship, we could send it to the reserve fleet, which you could see would actually cut its maintenance costs in half. But over time, that'll cause the crew quality to drop. Or you can send it to mothballs, which will cause the actual cost to drop even more. It's like 1/4 of the actual active duty cost. But that means the crew quality will fall even more, and it will take some time between those troops getting back up to good strength and whatnot after you go to war for them to really be ready for war. So for the time being, we're going to leave everything active at the moment in the Navy, but that will probably change because I do like to kind of push the budget to its maximum. That being said, we do have actually quite a bit of budget left over that we'll maybe want to consider using. I think that about does it for turn 1. It is January of 1900, which is turn 1. We're about 20 minutes into this episode. So I think without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and move forward to the next turn. So you can see here as we end our turn, we get some different updates in the turn messages. So this turn, we're seeing that the USA laid down 4 destroyers of 2 different classes, the Paulding class and the Drayton class. We're seeing that Germany laid down 3 destroyers, Russia laid down a destroyer and a battleship of the Perventus class. Great Britain laid down 2 destroyers, a battleship, and a 3rd destroyer. So that's currently the notice we get, and nothing else happened. And now you can see it is February of 1900. Turns last 1 month. Tensions all seem to have remained the same as well. Sometimes tensions just go up on their own. You can see again, we'll end the next turn, a bunch of notices of different ships being laid down, and nothing else happens. So March of 1900. So there's a fair number of these turns where you're just going to hit turn and then nothing will happen. Additionally, you can see here that you sometimes will get information about your own country. So the shipyard experience with class has shortened construction time of the light cruiser Salerno by 1 month. So that's a random event that'll cut down the construction time of the Salerno up here, which is costing us $691 per month. So that really just saved us $691,000 by the fact that they're going to accelerate construction by a month, which is kind of nice. Actually, tensions just dropped this month, too. You can see the British tensions dropped from 3 to 4, or 4 to 3, and everybody else stayed at 3. So I'm not sure why that happened, but it did happen. Meanwhile, you can also see that as we've moved forward to April of 1900, we are banking this $4.5 million, and our funds in our bank have increased to $12.691 million. Meanwhile, our dock sizes are now 9 months away because we moved 3 months forward, and our unrest in the country has dropped to 1. So things are becoming a little bit more peaceful. Okay, so we'll move forward 1 more month into May. There's rumors that Russian scientists are having trouble mastering the principles of improved riveting techniques. Okay, so that's good for us. Meanwhile, intelligence is reporting that Austria-Hungary is building 7-inch coastal batteries in Dalmatia. Germany is building 11-inch coastal batteries in East Prussia. And shipyard experience has, with the class has shortened the construction time of our destroyer Impetuoso by 1 month. Okay. So as we take a look here at the Almanac, we can see we still lead the world in battleships at 6, which is just kind of laughably silly. But Great Britain is building 5, showing that her economic power is just insurmountable at this stage. France is building 1, Austria-Hungary is building 2, Russia is building 3, Germany is building 4, the U.S. is building 2. Now, with all this extra money, one might suggest building some new cruisers. So I'm going to debate doing that. But one thing I did learn in my live stream the other day was that 21-knot cruisers might be a little bit slow when compared to some of the designs that the AI might come up with. So it's kind of tempting to have a slightly faster light cruiser and a slightly faster heavy cruiser, but we'll wait for a few more designs. Oh, and we just got our first random event is that private shipbuilding is expanding. Max dock size is increased by 1,000 tons, so that brings us up to 16,000 tons. So that when our new dock work that we're doing is complete, then we'll be able to build up to 17,000 tons. Meanwhile, this turn, we also completed the 7 destroyers that we were working on in our docks. They all completed simultaneously, so we have 7 new destroyers. The steel industry wants a stronger Navy. They want you to help convince the Prime Minister to increase naval expenditures. What do you do? So this is one of those random events that affect the game. We can mention the importance of a strong Navy in the steel industry for a national well-being to the Prime Minister, which will increase our naval budget, but it will also increase tensions across the board. Or we can tell them that the Navy is not a tool for increasing their profits, which will not increase our naval budget. It will not increase tensions, but it will increase our prestige to 20. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So we'll do that. You can see here our prestige jumps up to 20. Tensions remain low. Great Britain's 3, France's 3, Austria-Hungary's 2, Russia's 3, Germany's 2, USA's 2. Okay, so that being said, we also don't necessarily need a ton more money because we have $22 million in the bank. Now, with the 7 destroyers that we just completed, that means we've got 27 destroyers. I'm actually going to build 3 more destroyers because I want an even 30 destroyers in the fleet. I just like even numbers. So let's go ahead and do that. Monthly build cost will be $480. and our shipping industry will be happy we're laying down more destroyers, although fewer than what we had before. It looks like our destroyers only take 10 days to make, or 10 turns to make. Okay. I really wish we had some new designs for our light cruisers. That's 7 of those. I guess we can build 3 new heavy cruisers. Everybody seems to have a lot of heavy cruisers, so let's build 3 new Marco Polo classes. It's going to be $4.3 million per turn, but we actually have enough money in the bank to fund that. It's going to take 24 months, so they're going to take 2 years each, but laying down 3 heavy cruisers of 9,000 tons each should appease the shipping industry, and that's something you have to worry about, because from time to time that will come up. So what that means is we're going to have 3 heavy cruisers under construction, so we'll have 10 when those are complete. Britain will have 13 when all of hers are complete. France already has 15, is building none. Austria-Hungary has 7, the same as us, so that'll put us ahead of them. It'll put us on parity with Russia when theirs are complete. We'll still be a bit behind Germany and the USA, but at least in terms of construction, it puts us number 1 with constructing the most heavy cruisers. And the battleships, again, we've got a bit of a lead there, and so I don't see any reason to pour a ton of money into them at the moment. When I do get some new technology, though, I will potentially design a new class. But at this moment, everything we have currently is still kind of more or less up to date. Oil has been discovered in North Korea, so that's something to be aware of. Intelligence reports new ships under construction. The heavy cruiser Vaughn is rumored to carry 10-inch main guns, so that's a little concerning if a Russian heavy cruiser has 10-inch guns. And then this heavy cruiser, the Pama Azov, has a top speed of 23 knots. Jeez. So that's good information to be aware of. Means our heavy cruisers might be a little undergunned and a little bit slow. Now, as far as oil being discovered, oil matters in the future. Right now, we don't have oil-fired ships, so that's not a strategic thing to be worried about. But in the event that war does break out later in the game, oil is important. So it would be ideal if we could get North Korea or South Korea, one or the other. I guess South Korea doesn't have oil, but it'd be ideal if we could get North Korea into our empire because they do have oil. And none of our current provinces have oil. And obviously, you know, the discovery of oil is a little bit randomized, a little bit fictionalized. It's not necessarily tied to where the oil was historically. Okay, so let's move forward to August. More intelligence reports about enemy shipping. Move forward one more time. The light cruiser Salerno is commissioned into the Navy. Our scientists are reporting they're having trouble figuring out the concept of the double bottom. British are building a 12-inch coastal battery in Ireland. The Austrians are laying down some ships. Okay, so another random event comes up here as we move toward the end of 1900. The Prime Minister has made an ill-considered statement about Russia. What is your response when asked by a foreign journalist? So again, the Prime Minister is the head of the government. He made a mistake, but we are the Secretary of the Navy, so we can either help tamp down this crisis or we can help fan the flames. So we can say, try to explain that the quote was taken out of context. That'll increase our naval budget because the Prime Minister presumably will be grateful, but we'll also lose some prestige in the eyes of the world. You know, Alfred von Tirpitz, if he was backing down in front of the rest of the world, might not carry the same sort of caveat as if he's a grouchy, you know, pro-Italian person or something. Say if we don't comment on policy issues, tensions increase. Basically, you're the good diplomat, you don't comment. We don't comment on such issues. Tensions go up, but nothing else. Or we can agree wholeheartedly with the Prime Minister. That'll actually increase our prestige because we're backing our Prime Minister to the hilt publicly. It'll also increase our budget, but it will doubly increase tensions with Russia. But we're going to do that. So you can see tensions with Russia just jump all the way up to level 5. They were at level 3, I believe, before. So they jumped 2 levels based off of that statement. Okay. But our prestige is up to 21 now. So again, it's about growing your prestige without, you know, getting your country destroyed by going to war with the whole world. Our scientists are happy to report that they're close to mastering Krupp armor. We've researched new tactics. Research area fleet tactics. Okay. And we're just 2 months away from having larger dock sizes of level 17. Krupp armor is developed. We can't figure out the double bottom. We're going to move one more turn. New training applied. Crews are now deemed proficient in new tactics. New docks are also completed, and we finished surface condensers, which gives us 1% weight savings. We also had a research breakthrough on the coincidence rangefinder, and we had a research breakthrough on hydraulic recoil, which gives rate of fire improvements to our guns. So that was a pretty good end of the turn, or end of the year turn. We're now into January of 1900. Actually, our dock size has increased by 2,000, so now we're up to 18,000 tons for a maximum ship size that we can build, which is pretty sizable for a pre-dreadnought battleship. And it kind of leads me to believe maybe I should design a new pre-dreadnought battleship. We've got a fair bit of money, a fair amount in the bank, so we probably should do something with that. We've gone a year into the game. We still have the lead in battleships, but not for long. Germany's building 6. Russia is building 6. So they will both have on par with us at 7 battleships. Austria-Hungary, neither of them share a body of water with us, though, so we may never see them. Austria-Hungary will have 3. France will have 5. Great Britain will have 9. All to our 7. Meanwhile, the heavy cruiser field, we're still behind everybody else, but I think we're respectable. Light cruisers, we probably could build more. Destroyers are the only thing we're currently building. Oh, no, we are. We're building 3 heavy cruisers. I forgot about that. So you can see 1 month away from finishing a Dante Alighieri class battleship, which would give us 7 battleships. Sorry, the Dante Alighieri of the Italia class. And that's currently the situation. So a relatively quiet first year in this game. I would say most games tend to be a little bit more frenetic than that. But at the moment, things are going reasonably well for the Italian Secretary of Italian Secretary of the Navy, the historical butcher. And we'll see where things lead to next time. I'm thinking we will probably build a new battleship class to take advantage of all that weight that we can now build. We can build 3,500 tons more than what we could before. So maybe we put 12-inch guns on her with some larger secondaries, or maybe we don't make them short-ranged, although short-range seems like it's not a terrible idea. Maybe we build a new heavy cruiser. I'm not sure, but we should probably design something new because we have $36 million in the bank. That's almost half of a battleship right there. So we should take advantage of that. We want to make sure that we continue to maintain our lead in terms of our ship sizes and take advantage of some of those new technologies we developed. With that being said, we have been talking for about 30 minutes, so again, not a super action-packed episode, but hopefully it was interesting and entertaining, to say the least. I was trying to sort of explain the different features or the different buttons or pieces of information in the game. This is a little bit of a tutorial of the main screen, just sort of a gameplay explanation, if you will. But I hope, again, that you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time. Just to make you guys aware, we'll probably see some War in the Pacific tomorrow, and then maybe some Strategic Command later in the week. But until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm out.